It's all about Knight Rider when I have the huge pleasure of talking to Rebecca Holden, who played the role of April Curtis in season 2 of Knight Rider. Rebecca's first filming episode was Return to Cadiz, so that seemed like the obvious episode for a commentary. Enjoy this talk with Rebecca Holden, and Rebecca, thanks so much for doing this.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you very fine.
Oh, wonderful, Jacob.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you just great. Thank you.
Fantastic.
I'm here at my church. We just finished service.
Oh.
And so I'm set up. I don't know if you can see my piano right here.
Yeah, I can, yeah.
The piano, the grand piano, it's a Steinway, and I play it every Sunday morning that I'm in town. I do the church service.
All
so,
right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I thought this would be a quiet place to do our little Zoom.
Rebecca, you look fantastic. You look amazing. How do you do it?
Bless you. How sweet of you to say. Thank you. I was up at 5:30 this morning. Okay. I start with an early morning on Sundays because I get up early, I go to the gym, and then I get to the church early to go over all the hymns and songs, and because I play all the hymns from my service, and then I do a solo every Sunday. Right. So I get to the church very early and do the rehearsal and all, and then play for service. So we just finished service here at church, and so here we are. So Sundays are a long day for me usually.
Hello. I don't know if there's any controversial questions in this. I don't think that there is. Of course, the only thing.
Bring it on.
Yeah, bring it on.
Bring on the.
Yeah. Okay. Great. You know, I asked my twins, what do you think I should ask Rebecca? And she said, how much did they pay her to be a Knight Rider?
I will say never enough.
Yeah, never enough.
The truth to that question, actually, the truthful answer would be for all the joy and all the blessings that it's brought to my life and all the really valuable things, which are friendships, I would have paid them to be on the show. Yeah. I can't put a value on the love and the friendship and the wonderful relationships and the people that I've met and the wonderful experiences that we've all had together. And I think of it truly as the Knight Rider family. And you can't put a price on that.
Let's start now. We had this wonderful picture. Welcome, Rebecca Holden. You look
fantastic. Thank you, Jacob. And you're so kind.
I'm thrilled that you are able to take time to do this commentary. We're going to talk about the very first episode that you were in, at least not in the not like they were on television, but in filming order.
Yes, I hear that they aired in a different order than we actually shot them. But I think the episode that you're going to present today was the first one that I shot.
Exactly. Oh. So let's see.
I must say, you look terrific too. We haven't seen each other in a year and a half.
Yeah.
And you just get more handsome. And you have recently sent me pictures of your beautiful children. They were celebrating a birthday, I think. So it's good.
Exactly.
It's good to see you all again.
Yeah. It is fantastic to see you again, Rebecca. And
thank you, Jacob.
Like always, you glow, and you radiate so much positiveness. It's just fantastic. So
that's very sweet of you to say. As I just told you, I've been up since 5:30 this morning because it is Sunday when we're recording this, and I do all the music for my church. So I get up very early on Sundays, go hit the gym first, and then get to the church early to rehearse all the hymns and my solo and all before the service starts. So we just finished service a few minutes ago. You can see my grand piano behind me here. So here we are. And ready to talk about Knight Rider.
Yeah, let's talk about Knight Rider. Now we're moving ahead now. What do you think of the theme song to Knight Rider?
Oh, Don Peake did a brilliant job on the music, because you just play that opening theme and people instantly know Knight Rider. The musical hook. They have it on. On no matter where it plays or what, you hear that theme song and instantly, So he did a brilliant job in that way. Yeah.
Yeah. So
recognizable.
You're coming up on screen just in a few seconds. Do you remember anything regarding it says, I think, also starring Rebecca Holden. Was there anything special in the way to get this also starring on
I'm sure they just took that scene from, one of the scenes that we had shot. I don't think we said, oh, we're going to use this for the opening credits. At that time, they just picked a flash of a scene from somewhere that we shot at. I don't even know what episode that was from, but they decided to use that for the opening credits then. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So we're rolling. Return to Cadiz, the very first episode of the second season. So you get your debut, and of course we'll let the audience know exactly in what scene you get your debut, because it's not in the first one that you're in. Can you talk a bit, maybe before we get to your very first appearance here, about how you got the role as April Curtis in Knight Rider?
I had worked a lot for NBC, and I had worked a lot for Universal on different various Universal shows, Magnum PI, for example. And so they were very well acquainted with my work. So when the role became available on Knight Rider, I just got a call from my agent, and they said they want to see you, and they want to meet with you and David, and see what the chemistry is like, and so on. And so I went over to the Universal lot, and all the producers and writers and David, I think there were just maybe 3 or 4 of us in the office, and we did a scene together, and it just felt so natural, and we laughed and we had a good time. And then they said, I remember them saying to me, we don't want April to be too glamorous, so can you give us she's a computer expert. So I pulled my own glasses out of my purse and I said, how about this? And April was born, and so she wore glasses for the whole season, for after that. So so that was sort of her signature look. Yeah. And we had a great time, and by the time I had even gotten back home, my agent had already called, and they said they love you and they want you to join the show. And I said, well, it felt so right, and I'd be happy to. And we, it was just a wonderful group, a wonderful team. Yeah. There's no more collaborative effort than a TV show or a film, because there's so many integral parts that combine to make the whole. So it truly is a team effort, and it was a great production family.
So we have you here on screen.
Yes.
Do you remember
with the glasses?
You look just
now
like
they
yourself.
had to make special glasses. I couldn't use my own because they have to have non-reflective lenses,
of course,
so that it wouldn't flash. Yeah.
Do you remember how a scene like that would be shot? Would that simply be you looking into a camera and then talking?
Yes. Yeah. On set. We were, the office was on the set at Universal. Yeah. So we weren't in a house somewhere. This was on set. This was Devon's office. Yeah.
Did you know Knight Rider when you were approached regarding the role?
I must admit I did not. I did not. But they gave me the scene to read, and I quickly got the lay of the land, and what I sort of made the relationship between David and myself my own, and it was a good thing that I didn't have a preconceived notion, I went on into the process with my own concept of the role and what their relationship was, and with Devin and with Kit himself. Yeah. So I think you have to bring whatever is inside you to the role as you read it. Yeah.
And you definitely do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think, of course, I don't know if everybody agrees, but I think that a lot of Knight Rider fans feel that the best stories are in the second season. And
really,
and that when I think about it, I think it's because you add in the last scene in this episode, Kit says that it's almost motherly, that you don't let him, that you want him to go in the water when he don't want to, and when he really likes to, you say you can't. He says that is really motherly, and I think that is probably a very important part of the heart, the warm heart that you bring to the show.
Thank you for saying that. That I felt like Kit was my responsibility, and not only Kit and taking care of Kit, who was a person. This wasn't just a car. This was a being, and I felt protective. I felt loyal to take care of them. I felt David, because every time he went out in Kit, he was endangering himself. So it was my responsibility to give them, equip them both as a unit with the tools that they needed to fight the bad guys, to overcome evil, and to, conquer. Yeah. So I felt this great sense of responsibility, as we all do with our own family members. We have that protective nature, that loyalty, that we're bonded together. And I may not have been on the front lines, but it was my duty to prepare them for being on the front lines. So we were all in this together. Yeah.
In the scene that we saw just before, Michael and Kit were testing whether Kit could, or that was at least their assignment, to test whether Kit could drive on water, and that was actually kind of a trademark that in a lot of episodes at the beginning you would have them test something, a parachute or taking a lot of heat or something like that.
Yes.
Did you have any thoughts regarding that? Because that became kind of a trademark that you would equip them with some new function that they should test.
Yes, that was sort of my calling to whatever the challenge of the day was, to give them the tools necessary to overcome. And sometimes it didn't always work, because sometimes what the script writer had envisioned and had on paper, the prop guys weren't able to bring to fruition. So several times, and it happened more often than not, I would be in the makeup chair at 5:30 in the morning, knowing my lines, all prepared, and I would get all new pages because they couldn't make what was on the page come to reality. Therefore, they went a whole different route, and I had all new terminology, because a lot of those technical things were just sort of made up words. So I would have all new pages to memorize in the makeup chair and be ready to hit the set. Good thing I had a good memory. I'm a fast learner. You got to be fast on your feet.
Yeah, it sounds a bit stressful.
Yes, it could have been, but I somehow managed. I am a quick study, so that came in very handy, I might say.
So how was it being new on the set? Patricia McPherson had played Bonnie Barstow in the first season, and yes, you came all new. How did that? Was that just you just slip in and everything is like I've been here all the time, or how did that work?
Well, first of all, they were wonderful to me. They were so welcoming and warm and made me feel like family from day one. But also, I had worked on so many shows. And as a guest star, you go into a situation each time with an already working, very well greased machine. And so you're coming in as the new one. So I was very accustomed to that. I'm a team player. I fit in. I see what's needed. I see where my role is. I see how to join in and be flexible, because every working unit has a different way of working. So you have to bring that flexibility. You come with your own preparation, obviously. You know your lines, you show up having done your homework and so on. But then every director is different, every producer, every cast is different, and they may have a different, especially the director, may have a different vision for the scene. So you bring your own vision and preparation to the set, but also knowing that you must be flexible to move with where their vision is as well. Because as I said a little earlier, it's such a collaborative endeavor, the making of a film or the making of a television show especially, and a TV show especially, as they've done a lot of episodes prior, so they sort of have come into a comfortable way of working, and you have to be able to go with the flow. So I think it was a very easy thing. We all just sort of joined in, and it was very comfortable for me.
Yeah. How was a working week? You said you could be up very early. Would you typically have scenes every day of the week, of a shooting week, or how would that be structured?
The scenes that were all on the set were all shot on the same day. Scenes that were on location, they went by location. So yes, I may have bunch of scenes on the set that day that were not, of course, in chronological order as they happen in the show, but here and there. So you have to be able to, fast forward in your brain to what would be happening and what would have happened already prior to that scene, even though you might not have even filmed it yet. But that's just the nature of the beast when you're filming. Yeah, because they have to put the scenes together that make the most sense as far as structure and the scheduling goes. So when you're not exactly shooting a scene, either on stage or on location, what would you be doing? Rehearsing or learning your lines, or sometimes not working at all that day. I mean, it just all depends on what the shooting schedule is. Like my very first scene to shoot on Knight Rider was on the beach.
Yeah, it's
where I had to show up in my cute little pink shorts.
Yeah, we're getting to that, Rebecca. We're getting to it.
So obviously it wasn't the first in the show, but that was the very first scene that I shot. Yeah.
I'll let you talk more in depth about it when we get to it. It's in the last part of this.
And I must say, I'm watching Annie Lockhart on screen there. She was such a sweetheart. Yeah. And of course, we all knew her mom from the black and white reruns of that show, Lassie.
Yeah.
June Lockhart. Yeah.
Were there ever any retakes or additional sound work, voice over work after you did your scenes?
Yes, usually when you're on location, you obviously can't control the sound like you can when you're on a closed set. So if you're out on location and there are planes flying overhead, or kids down the beach, making noise or whatever, a lot of times you have to do looping. And I think being from a musical background, looping was always very easy for me. It came naturally because I hear the rhythm. Yeah. There are a lot of studios where when you go into the looping stage, you are in a big closed sound room with a screen that is bigger than life, and you can see the movement of your mouth because your image is so large that you can see, and you can get the consonants exactly with it because you see your face so big on this huge, gigantic, like a movie screen. At Universal, however, it was not like that. We had no screen at all. You hear with just your headphones, you hear beep, beep, beep. And on the fourth beat in time, you begin with, and they have it synced up.
Yeah.
And so the only way that you can get your voice in time with the image on the screen is by the rhythm.
Okay.
So you must hear the rhythm that in which you said it on screen, whichever take that they happen to use, you're hearing that for the first time. You may have said it differently, each time you did a take on set, but now you're hearing what the take was that they used. So you have to listen to that intensely and say it in exactly the same rhythm in order to match the sound with the image. Yeah. But being a musical person, I think the rhythm was always real easy for me to hear because I usually got it real quickly.
Yeah. It doesn't sound too easy, I would say, but I'm not an actor. So here we have you in Devon's office. And I don't think I've ever been on a sound stage, and definitely not at Universal or anywhere in the US. So can you tell us a bit about how is that? How does that work when you film on a stage? How many people are there, and how do you know where to stand and where to move and how to do that?
Well, you always block your scene before you shoot it, so because the cameraman has to know, where you're going. And of course, there are missing walls so that the camera has plenty of room to move. And then you shoot it from different angles. So they'll shoot a master shot, the wide shot with, all of us. And then they'll do close-ups, or like you just saw a close-up of Edward right there. So we shoot the scene again with the camera turned around so that it's just facing Edward Mulhare and shooting his close-up. That was a 2-shot of David and myself together. So then the camera was over here shooting us. And so you shoot it as many times as you need to get all the various angles. And we get it done.
Yeah. So and Edward Mulhare would typically be on the opposite side then,
yeah, he was usually sitting because that was his office.
Yeah.
So he was usually behind the desk, but then he of course came around in this particular scene and then came and sat down at his chair again. And
you have a nice little, I think you could say, losing battle with Michael there.
April. I loved, there was always teasing going on, and we took our work very seriously, obviously, and we were, very intent on our mission, but there was the teasing and the banter, made it fun, and I think that's true in any relationship, right? When you feel safe with people, you can tease and banter and give them a hard time, and that's what made the relationship fun, and it was fun for me, and I hope it was fun for the viewers.
Yeah, even if this is the very first episode that you do, I think that there's definitely some very good chemistry regarding your role as April, and the smaller conflicts that it has when you want him to test something and he wants to go in the field and do an assignment instead. So yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
It
means a lot.
can you talk a bit about how many people will typically be present when you shot a scene in or did a scene on stage?
Well, of course, there are the set decorators and, all the people that put the prop people and all of that, the gaffers who do all the lighting and the sound tech and, because we're all mic'd, unless they either have a boom mic overhead where somebody's, holding a boom, or else we're all individually mic'd with the little microphone down, stuck somewhere in our clothes and the antenna going out here, but so all the sound people, the audio people, the screenwriters are not there, but of course they're the integral thing for the whole show. If it's not on the page, it's never going to be on the screen, right? So and occasionally, various producers would come to the set, but you've got your director of photography, your DP, and the director, and all the people that actually need to be on the set. But then you've got all your wardrobe people and makeup people who are in the trailer, preparing everybody to go on camera. And usually they're around in case they're needed, or you get shiny, or need a touch up or whatever. But it takes a village, as they say.
Yeah. To do it, I can understand that. Okay. In not too much time, we'll see you in the semi as well. In the trailer.
And I must add to that, because we can't leave anybody unthanked or unrecognized. There are all the people that do all the graphics and the editing and the sweetening and all of those things, and all the stunt people, because there was a huge second unit crew. Yeah. Besides us, the principals, like shooting in the office, all the stunts and so on were done by a whole different second unit that were shooting sometimes simultaneously. So, there are a lot of people that have to receive recognition and credit and gratitude.
Yeah. In order to make Knight Rider the hit show that it is. Okay.
Yes.
So we see Kit driving into the trailer here.
Speaking of stunts, yes.
Yeah, exactly. So that's all on a stage. We know that. How do you get a car onto the stage? Is there just a big gate where it can go through, and then it's the most natural thing that you have a car?
Well, inside? With the studios, the sound stages, are gigantic. So there's plenty of room to move whatever you need in there, including the whole semi set, and that was all built in there. So of course there's the semi doesn't have, that wall there, because there's plenty of room for the camera and all to be there to shoot us. So that car, the hero car, the car with the full dashboard, was just on set, all the time. Yeah. So all the stunt cars, were never on the set. So we just had the one that I worked on in the semi, on the stage.
Mm-hmm. How was that? Because in the scene we just saw you with some kind of gadget that you used in some way to do some mechanical work or technician work on Kit. How was that acting, doing something and at the same time having to remember what to say and say it in the right way, and usually also some kind of wild technical term?
Yeah, made up, all made up out of the fantasy and imagination of our wonderful writers. And I never knew what I was doing, I just needed to make it look stylish and realistic and say whatever words they gave me that had all these technical sounding names with aplomb. Like I knew exactly what I was doing. I always say, I'm not exactly the most computer savvy person. I was always artistic and intelligent and logic and reasoning, but not technically inclined. So that was called acting. I I learned what I need to do technically and with computers and so on a need to know basis. Whatever I need to know to accomplish the task, I learn. And I'm a quick study, but that was never, computer and science was never my forte. I was more on the creative and literary end of things, but it was my job to make April look like she knew what she was doing. So hopefully I accomplished that.
So just while we just see the semi, or the last part of the semi there, the back of it, do you know that the Knight Rider historians have found the semi and that they are restoring it?
That's what AJ told me. I think the last time I was in Atlanta at Mark Pewett's event, Southern Nights, I think AJ was there, and they had a whole big presentation on camera, and they had some of the things that I actually worked on in the semi with the computer and all that. So
to all you watching, Southern Nights Atlanta, Mark Pewett's event, be there. It's fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Mark is a great guy. He has been such a friend to me. He's a very special person, very kind person, which you know well because you've been to that event several times, I think, Jacob.
Yeah. It's 2 times for me now, and hopefully 3 come 2024.
Yay.
So,
That's where you and I met for the first time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
So fantastic. Okay, the next short scene that we'll see you in is talking to Michael, as I remember from the office, also in a monitor. And in that respect, we will also get to some of the more stunt-alike scenes. Did you ever go see any of the stunt scenes? You were on location sometimes. Also, I think especially perhaps in Goliath Returns, in some of the scenes that really required some tough acting, you could say, or at least not fighting, but you got a bit bruised during that.
Yes.
Did you ever?
And
go
that actually, when we were in the hallway and in the sort of the dungeon and stuff, that was all on set. That was all on set as well. Yeah. But we were out sometimes, on location, and so it kept things interesting.
Yeah.
And I must give great credit to all of our great stunt guys, and of course Jack Gill, who was our stunt coordinator. That the funny thing about it is, a lot of times, because we were working separately and so on, we didn't get to spend a lot of time together back then when we were shooting the show. But because of all of these fan events that wouldn't have been possible except for all of you guys, the fans who have kept the show alive, I've gotten to be such good friends with so many of the team that I didn't get to know well then, but through these events, even Michael Chaffee, we've become so close because we've gone to so many of these events together, but we didn't really know each other back then when the first show was conceived, and when he designed the kit car. But the friendships have blossomed and endured through the years.
That is fantastic.
So I was going to say, so I know Jack Gill and his lovely wife, Morgan, and through lots of different events in Vegas and so on. Yeah.
I think you come into the scene behind Devon and participate in the conversation just in a moment now. So yeah.
Oh yes. Here's April coming to put in her 2 cents.
Did you have anything to say regarding your wardrobe, regarding the way your hair was, your head was dressed?
No, I think they liked experimenting on me. They gave April a lot of different hairdos, from the pigtails, and I think I wore it up once when I was in an evening gown, and so it was fun. she got to do a lot of different things and wear a lot of different type of clothes. Of course, the jumpsuits in the semi sort of became a tradition, So yeah.
Fantastic. But you also got to wear a lot of very glamorous gowns.
Yes.
Is that the way you call it?
Yes.
I think in Diamonds, Aren't a Girl's Best Friend. You're
Yes.
actually a couple of times you were teamed up with Devon as Devon's companion at these fashionable events that you for some reason is are attending.
Yes. We were undercover, as they say. Yeah. pretending to be a couple. I think in that
exactly.
episode, I still have that turquoise jewel dress.
Oh, you do?
I still do.
Fantastic.
Yeah, some of the things I kept from the show. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You were.
I did have all the scripts signed by all of our guest stars and all at one time, and then, stupid me, I thought, what am I ever going to do with these things? Nobody's ever going to want these. And I had moved various times. And finally, one time I thought, I've carted these things around. I'm just going to get rid of them. And I really regret it because I know people would have cherished them.
Yeah. I think it's pretty funny when I know David have made some auctions. And auctioned both Baywatch scripts, signed Baywatch scripts and signed Knight Rider scripts. And the fun thing is, even though he's I think in Guinness Book of Records for his for being seen by a huge audience on Baywatch. The Knight Rider scripts they sell for a lot of money compared to the Baywatch.
Yes.
So
if I had known that they could contribute to charity in that way, I would have always kept them for that purpose.
I know.
But who would have ever thought? I mean, I don't think. I mean, we knew the show was a hit show at the time. Of course, it was so highly ranked, and you don't get a TV guide cover, unless the show is a major hit. But you're having a good time on set. We had a great, camaraderie between the crew and so on. And we loved doing the show, but I don't think anyone we couldn't have predicted the popularity and how it would endure like this. There's no way you would ever think that. No. This is truly a phenomenal thing.
Yeah, it is. It really is. So, okay. In not too long, I think we're getting to the scene where you are at the hospital, posing as a nurse, or I don't know if that would be the correct term, but as I recall that is actually quite special to you as well.
Yes, my mother was an RN, and so was my sister. She's an NICU nurse and neonatal intensive care year. So it was kind of a special thing for me to get to portray a nurse. Yeah. It takes a real special person to be a nurse, and giving, loving, caring. And then usually, they see such difficult situations at work, and then must be able to put that behind them and go home and take care of their family and be cheerful and uplifting and supportive to their own families. So I've seen the challenge that being a nurse and what that profession requires of people. So that was kind of special for me to then get to play a nurse, although make believe, but. Yeah.
Do you remember where the scene was shot? Was that was also on a stage?
I'm trying to think. I think it was on set. Sounds like, yeah. There's so many medical shows on, so we probably used one of those sets. Yeah.
So, Okay, great. I think I would also like to ask you a bit about how it was acting with Edward Mulhare. How was that?
What a gentleman he was. Such a distinguished gentleman and kind. And we had so much fun in the makeup trailer. just laughing. And we were both sort of English. I'm English, Irish descent and very fair skinned. Edward, of course, was very fair skinned as well. And he had white hair, and they, would put the steel gray spray on his hair to give it that, dark gray appearance. And David was always so tan, that dark tan. And so that there wasn't a difference in the skin tones on camera so much, they would put dark makeup on my hands and, reveal whatever my neckline was to go down below the neckline. And so Edward and I would always laugh at how we looked so funny at the end of the day when we put back on our own clothes, and we'd both have orange hands up to here, looked like we had gloves on, and we had that in common. And he was just, he seemed so severe, as Edward, but he had just a kind vulnerability, sweetness about him. Yeah.
Yeah, and
loved him.
He really brought an extra dimension as well to the show.
Yes.
And a fabulous, in some way
dignity.
Dignity, and also being in some ways quite opposite of what Michael Knight was on the show. So that definitely worked really well.
It was a nice threesome. Yeah.
So. How was it then being a regular on the show and having to act opposite a lot of guest stars? Because I think in quite a lot of episodes, we'll see that as well in the hospital scene in a moment. You are acting with the victim or whoever is involved.
Well, I think, Jacob, I had guest starred on so many shows myself. I knew what it was like to come on to a set of people who already all knew each other and were a working unit. So I tried to welcome them in the same way that I would have liked to be welcomed. And I always tried to make the guest star feel at home and very much a member of the team. I tried to be gracious to them. Yeah. And we were very blessed to have a wonderful group of actors who brought their talents and their gifts to the show and added to the dynamic.
Fantastic. Do you remember, just jumping a bit, do you remember any of the different kid casts? You actually were one of the only people besides David Hasselhoff to drive Kid.
Yes.
Yeah, in the episode.
Yes, I was. Lucky me. Lucky me. Yes. At the time, I remember, when you're driving on set, is you got to hit a mark, not just yourself, but you have to hit a mark with a car. And so I was so focused, I didn't want to mow anybody down. I wanted to make sure that I parked in exactly where they wanted me to. So I think I was completely, focused on doing exactly what the director told me and following orders. And it wasn't until he yelled, "Cut!" and it was one take, and I was walking off set and I thought, I actually drove Kid. Yeah. No, that's a momentous occasion. Yeah.
Being in Kid as well, and driving Kid, I expect that was just a huge gadget for an actor. We as audience, we would fall in love with the dash and with the car. I don't expect that you really did the same.
Well, I don't think anybody at the time would have envisioned that you would be going down the street in Mexico City and seeing city buses pass by with the flashing light of the kit car. I mean, that signature of the kit car was become so iconic that today in Mexico City, they have city buses going by with the flashing scanner like Kit had. I mean, so yes, we knew the Kit car was special, and we knew that it was a real gimmick, and people loved it. But no, I mean, you wouldn't think that this would become this really a cultural icon that really the Kit car has become. I mean, it's beyond your imagination at the time. So it was fun working with Kit, but at the time, we had no way of knowing that it would become, like I said before, the phenomenon that it ultimately became.
We have to talk a bit about, of course, about Michael Knight, David Hasselhoff as well. How was it coming on to the show, and how was he as the center figure of the show?
Well, I don't think anybody could have played Michael Knight but David Hasselhoff. I mean, David is bigger than life, right? I mean, he is the Hoff. He is Michael Knight. I mean, today you couldn't envision anybody playing that role, but David. David's special, and he's special to me.
Yeah. So, and he did you, because you said also that you were on a lot of other shows. Was there any difference from other shows to Knight Rider? I think a lot of people talk about the very positive environment and the positive mood always on Knight Rider. Was that also the way you experienced it, or was it just more like, I also worked on this show and it was pretty much the same?
Knight Rider has become completely different. I mean, I loved all the casts and the crews and the various shows that I got to work on. I have to say, I love doing all the sitcoms. I did so many of the sitcoms, like Three's Company and Too Close for Comfort and Barney Miller and Taxi and Cheers and all those, the sitcoms. They were fun to do for me because being a musical person, comedy is rhythm. It's about getting the laugh. There's very much timing and rhythm involved. So I always loved doing those, and they were like doing the musicals or the plays that I did that were live performances, and you had that magic of a live audience. But nothing can compare with the magic that Knight Rider has brought over the years, and I think it has a lot to do not with just the Kit car. Although that, of course, is such, a calling card, and guys love the card, and girls too. Let's not get, sexist here, because Kit was beloved by everyone. But Glenn Larson created a show about good versus evil, and the fact that one man can make a difference, which of course is the theme of the show. And over the years, attending so many of these events, I hear the most remarkable stories. People tell me how that they took that theme to heart, and it was instilled in them and gave them a purpose and motivated them to use the gifts that they were given. And I think God gives all of us unique gifts and abilities and talents, and we are to them then use the dream that he instills in our hearts to motivate us to go out and to make a difference in the world. And I hear the most amazing stories of how the show meant that to them. It meant the purpose and the motivation and the inspiration that allowed them to go and do something special with their lives and help other people. Yeah. So that is truly a remarkable thing, and it became a movement, which has grown and blossomed. And then as people share their stories of making a difference in the world, it inspires other people to go out and do the same thing, to get that wonderful feeling of giving and generosity and making a difference. And as more people then do the same, they inspire the next person to go out and do the same. And it becomes sort of like a ripple effect. And pretty soon the world is a pretty wonderful place.
I know it's a wonderful picture. That I just needed to pause on you as a nurse. It was and we get that glamour as well with with Bobby Shell being already having fallen into love with you. So you make a big impression very fast.
Oh, that's sweet. Very sweet.
Okay, so we're getting closer now to the end of this episode, and I think that maybe before we get to you talking about that very first scene, maybe we should hear a bit about how Knight Rider has affected your life afterwards.
Well, I do feel like I have an international family. My own family is very close. We are all very bonded, but there has become a Knight Rider family throughout the world as people found each other through the internet, and all these fan clubs that had formed all over the world came to know each other. And of course, social media and so on, they've connected just like you've connected with Mark Pewitt and the people in Atlanta and the guys who have these companies in Mexico City, and there's a guy in Italy, and the big fan club in KRI in Italy, in Italia. They're based out of Milan. They're the guys in the UK, who would periodically hold a huge event. We had a huge event there one year. I think there were 70,000 people there. And, guys came from Germany and Swiss, all over the place to that event. And it's really a remarkable thing. And it's touched my life with the friendships that I've made and the people that I hold dear, and that we all share in these values. We share the desire to help each other and to make a difference in the world, and to spread these values and let them continue on through generations. And the remarkable thing that I see, there's so much division and competition in the world. And when I go to these events, it's such a beautiful thing to see. There will be a guy that's just starting on his car. He's just beginning and asking questions. And then there'll be a guy over here that has a car that's just spit and polish, the epitome of the kit car. And there's no competition. Everyone is helping each other along their own personal journey. And that's how life should be. So I think the Knight Rider family sort of embodies the way that you wish the whole world was, Yeah. So if our Knight Rider family sets an example for that kind of friendship and familial relationship, I think that's a pretty wonderful thing. Yeah. So the show has brought so much joy to my life as I get to experience all the friendships that I've made. And I feel truly, truly blessed that Knight Rider was such an important part of my life.
Fantastic. So I think before we get to your very first scene in Knight Rider, just in a couple of minutes, I also have to talk about how it ended. How did your time on Knight Rider come to an end?
Well, my management started having all kinds of offers, and I did some movies in Japan and the Philippines and all over, and they made a decision. Also, I was recording and singing, and I got a big recording deal in Nashville. And when you're young, you sort of have people who manage you and make decisions in your career. And you sort of follow those things. I might have made different decisions today, but I look back on my time on Knight Rider as truly a blessing in my life, and I value that experience and the friendships. And you and I would have never met if it weren't for Knight Rider. So
yeah, well,
I'm very grateful.
And you are an integral part as well of keeping the hobby alive by doing a commentary like this, by attending Southern Nights Atlanta and being there for the fans. It makes a tremendous impact and a tremendous difference for a lot of people. So
well, thank you, and it's my joy to do so. You know, I want to keep those values, those family values, alive. I think I told you that I went to Istanbul, Turkey, last year. To give you an example, the gentleman that was the head of the project there, he and his mother used to watch Knight Rider together and bonded doing so. And she had passed away from cancer, and he wanted to make a tribute film to his mom about Knight Rider and using his own kit car and giving to, charity for cancer. And so it was a joy to be a part of that. And that very much carried on the kind of values that we espouse on the show.
Yeah, that is fantastic. And in that respect, this show is something else compared to a lot of other. We are getting close now to that first scene in that fabulous outfit, if I may say so. Can you talk a bit more about how was it coming on? You were shooting on location on that very first scene. Were you nervous, and how did you feel during that?
I don't remember being nervous. Like I said, I had worked on so many shows and come into new situations, and I'm an adventurer, I guess, and I welcome new opportunities and new situations and meeting new people, and that's always been a joy for me. So I remember getting to my trailer, which is my dressing room out on the beach there, and this was my little costume, and I thought, oh, these little tiny little pink shorts, that's how I'm going to meet the whole cast and crew, and the whole production is in these little tiny little pink shorts. But everybody was so warm and wonderful, and we had the best time, and I think it was a cute scene. The dialogue there, and you mentioned the motherly, so it sort of got that relationship sort of kick-started, as to how April was, her way of being with Kit and with Michael, and I think after that day I thought, this is going to be fun, and it truly was.
Yeah, and in some respects still is.
Yes, every day. I people come to my website and write me, RebeccaHolden.com, so it's easy to remember. I get so many wonderful letters, and I hear such amazing stories from the fans of how the show affected them or what it meant to them, and every day it's a joy. I love hearing from them, and people remember my time on the show, and I get offered more work, and I get to continue doing what I love to do and follow my passion. And how many of us in this life get to make a living at what you truly love to do? I realize how blessed I am, and I am truly grateful for the life I have lived and the one I get the joy of continuing. So it's every day is an adventure.
That is amazing. Let's end this by hearing Kit himself, William Daniels, saying how motherly you are.
Well, when I objected to the water, I was told to go in. And now that I've been into lag yet, I'm told to stay out. Isn't that motherly? You got that right.
That was amazing.
Thank
and that
you.
was the end of this episode. That was also the end of our commentary, Rebecca. I will say thank you so much for doing this, for taking the time, for being so honest and open about everything. You said it yourself from the beginning. You ask me anything, Jacob, I'll answer it. So thank you so much, and I hope to do this another time again. And until then,
the pleasure is all mine, Jacob. It's been a joy visiting with you today, and what a delight. I enjoyed this tremendously, so we'll have to do it again.
Yeah, we do. This was really, really fantastic. So,
I look forward to seeing you at another event.
Yeah, hopefully. Do you have any last remarks? I think you should have the last word today. I typically talk too much here, so I think you should have the last word to all the Knight Rider fans.
Thank you. Keeping the memory alive and keeping the show alive keeps those values alive. So thank you to all the fans out there who keep the tradition of Knight Rider and going out into the world and making a difference. Thank you all for keeping that alive, because each of you makes this a better place to live. I love you all.